Do people in Canada have cable? Like other people?
We keep this up in the playoffs. I don't care.
And a Chili's. Is it a Chili's?
Achilles.
Finally.
You don't know that?
Fuck you! Get this guy the fuck out of here!
Alright, well, coming in at number 5, I got Anthony Stolars.
Now! Jets are winning the cup!
Thank you for watching and listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 82 of the NordCast. It is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. I am your host here, Nordic97, joined with Kata and Just Carter.
Jack has been officially lifted to LTIR.
Yeah, it's retroactive as of today.
Dealing with a stomach bug. Not ideal for Mr. Jack Polko, but he does listen, so Jack, we love you. Hope you get better soon.
I want to say it has been 10 episodes now since we've had the full crew together. I want to put that into perspective because it may not seem like that's that much. We record one episode every single week, and I think we even missed like a week or two in there. So it's been like 12 weeks, nearly 3 months since the last time we had the full crew on for an episode.
That is actually ridiculous.
And in that whole time, Jack has only been on one episode in those 12 weeks. So, this week, though, is different because he's sick. He told us today he had the flu and he was puking. So, hopefully he's okay. But, guys in college, we get it. Really wish he could have been here, though, today because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So, let's just dive right into it here. Starting off with what happened in New York and what is still happening in New York. The New York Rangers have traded Jacob Trouba over to the Anaheim Ducks. No salary retention whatsoever. In exchange, the New York Rangers acquired Urho Vakanainen, a conditional 2025 fourth-round pick, which if the conditions on the pick are if the Rangers get the lower of the Anaheim or the Detroit fourth, which Anaheim has Detroit's fourth-round pick, if you were wondering. So that's the final deal. This kind of came out of nowhere. We knew it was coming at some point, but it got announced on 9 a.m. that Trouba was going to get traded, and we were pondering the entire day, where is this guy going? Where is he going to go? Where is he getting traded? And his destination is Anaheim. So, Carter, when you saw this, when this broke, what was your reaction?
It kind of made sense. Anaheim could kind of use a little bit more veteran presence in there, even though they have a good amount. The only downside to their veteran presence is most of their vets aren't really skill guys. Like, you look at some of their vets, and you got Trouba now, who's a grinder, right? Like, he's a big physical defenseman. You got Radko Gudas, who's another physical defenseman. You got I'm blanking on his name. Killorn, right?
Killorn, yeah.
Yeah, you got Killorn, who's a grinder, right? Like, you don't have a lot of playmakers, snipers, kind of, other than, I guess you can call Troy Terry there, Cam Fowler, I guess you can call them vets. Troy Terry's a little bit more on the nose. But they don't have a lot of skill vets, which, when you look at that team and how much young skill they have, it's going to be something that they might want to try and address soon for the Anaheim Ducks. But, the trade made sense. He wasn't going to go to a Canadian market. He specifically said to not be traded to a Winnipeg market. And I think Ottawa was checking in on him. I know Winnipeg was checking in on him, which I would have loved to have had Trouba back on that blue line because we're missing that physical presence that we lost with Brendan Dillon. Especially now that we've also lost Dylan Sandberg for a couple months. It'd be nice to get at least somewhat of a decent defenseman back and someone who plays the game with a lot of passion. So it does suck that Jacob Trouba is not coming home to the Winnipeg Jets, but at the same time, I think he'll do good things in Anaheim.
He lived in a city that does not have an airport, and he was like, "Screw this! I'm not coming to Canada again."
I'm pretty sure it was his wife who doesn't want to be in Canada.
No, that's probably what it is. His wife.
But we have a fucking airport, okay? Fuck off.
I know. That's like the inside joke in this podcast.
I'm done with this. We don't have an airport bullshit.
Oh, my God. But, at first when I saw this deal for Anaheim, it was a little bit of a head-scratcher. I was like, why are you getting somebody who's like such a defensive liability in Trouba and all he's good for is hitting? But I kind of get it now. Again, they're like in a rebuild, and there's a good chance that like if Trouba can rejuvenate himself in Anaheim, he can maybe get flipped to another team for future assets. Again, he is on a 2-year deal. He has this year and next year left on his contract. So I do think that he probably sticks with Anaheim for the rest of this season. But next season, I could see the Ducks retaining like 50% on his salary and then him getting traded to a playoff team for picks. I could definitely see that happening. I don't think he's worth $8 million. If you retain 50 of that, the math is there. I'm not like Carter, but I know that math, and it's
Do you?
$4 million. Yes, I know that math.
Bullshit.
So I think that could be a good move. For the Rangers, though, they slammed this out of the park. I got to be honest. You're trading away an $8 million defenseman for a third pairing defenseman who makes only $1 million and a 4th-round pick. They have so much cap now where they can make a move this offseason and at this trade deadline. I think that it was a perfect move for the Rangers, and it needed to be done, 100%. So
Agreed.
one other thing that I wanted to talk about with Trouba was during that day, and there was a lot of criticism about no trade clauses and a lot of things like that. So I wanted to bring up a quote here that Trouba said in the media, if I can find it here real quick. He was talking about how basically he didn't feel like he was treated right when leaving New York. Where is this quote? Okay. So Trouba said to the management, or the reporters in Anaheim said that, yeah, it was a threat. It's a rite of passage to get fired from MSG. And that was him talking about how he wouldn't waive his no trade clause to Columbus. And that was the other team that we saw was possibly going to get him. If he was going to get waived, he was going to Columbus. He was going to get waived to Columbus. That was the only team that could possibly do it. So essentially, Chris Jury threatened Trouba and said that, well, if you don't accept these trades to either of any of these teams, you're going to get waived and go right to Columbus, because that's how the way this works with these no trade clauses. And we saw Barclay Goodrow. This happened to him a couple months ago with the Rangers too. He got waived to San Jose, and it's sparked a lot of conversation, a lot of disagreements about no trade clauses. Carter, do you think that it's fair for a player who puts on his no trade clause that he doesn't want to go to a certain team, that he can just get waived and go to that team anyway? Do you think that's fair?
It's a loophole. It doesn't matter whether it's fair or not. It's what works.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, you're gonna try. Like at the end of the day, it's a business. If you're like, look, you're not doing very good at your job, but like, there's like you can't really fire them without reason, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where you're trying to trade them, you're trying to get rid of them, but they won't do it. You can't that's getting rid of them with a reason. You're finding a reason to get them off your books, right? So, it sucks that that's the way that it kind of has to happen, but end of the day, it's a business. You got to find ways to get what you need.
But for a captain, though, do you think that this is a fair way to treat your captain?
It's not a fair way to treat your captain. It does suck.
Yeah.
But I mean,
kind of the same thing you said. It's a business. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's a business, and at the same time, like, not a lot of people really saw him as. Everyone was shocked when he was named captain.
That was something that happened like very early on in this podcast. And I think we came on here and said we didn't really understand it. I think a lot of us thought it'd be like Kreider or like Zibanejad or one of those players, not Jacob Trouba. So it was a real head scratcher. But I'm going to be honest, like, whoever named Trouba captain, this is the way you're going to get rid of him. I think you should be fired. Like, no way. This is you're going to hire this guy and then hire him. Name him as your captain and then turn on him not even 3 years later. So it's a really, again, I get why they moved him. I just feel like, again, it probably could have been handled better. But as you said, it's a business. So with the money that the Rangers got in relief with the Trouba deal, they used that to sign Igor Shesterkin to an 8-year, $11.5 million contract. He is now the highest paid goaltender in NHL history, passing Carey Price, who held, I think, a $10.5 million contract. So Shesterkin passes that by $1 million, essentially. So Carter, how do you feel about this deal?
It's deserved. I mean, Igor Shesterkin has proved that he's one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League for quite a while. I feel like he's shown it. I mean, like, let's be honest here. Like, he's 28 years old, so you're gonna have him for the next 8 years. So you're gonna have him till he's like 36. And I mean, if you look at some of the goaltenders, like, you could be getting some still prime play up until like mid 30s, right? So you could still be. Granted, Shesterkin might end up dropping off a little bit. Like, you're not going to get Vezina kind of caliber performances out of him, but like, I mean, like, you got him for a good period of time here. Like, it's a pretty good like, you look at Connor Hellebuck, who's signed for a kind of around the same amount, which, putting it into perspective, I mean, the contract does look huge when you compare it to Connor Hellebuck, who's 31 and signed an 8-year deal. So, because I think he signed that when he was 29, 30, and they got him for $8 million. But Shesterkin has proved that he carries that team. I guess so does Connor Hellebuck. I'm really not making this contract sound very good. But listen. Shesterkin has proved it in the playoffs that he can carry them. He's proven it kind of in the regular season. He can carry them. He's carried them to a President's Trophy, right? So he's done a lot. He's won a Vezina. Fuck. I'm going
to jump in to help you here.
Please do. Like, it's definitely, I'm not trying to throw shade and say this is not a good contract. It is a good contract for him. It's just
right to ask for this money. I'm saying it right now. He has every right to ask for this money.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, Hellebuck had every right to ask for that money too, but he's thankful that he kind of took a discount, because at the time when he signed that deal last year, the highest paid goalie was Bob at $10 million. He just went to the Cup final. So essentially, like, with Hellebuck, it's different because he asked at a different time. With Shesterkin, he's absolutely carried this team in the regular season and the playoffs. He has carried them to 2 Eastern Conference Finals. If you can argue that without him, they don't make it past the first round in either of those. Maybe this year. But again, you could argue that. You could argue maybe they don't even make the playoffs. And you see Shesterkin kind of fall down to earth a little bit this year, and the Rangers are plummeting. So that's a good transition to what we were going to talk about. This is a whole like Rangers segment for the first probably 20 minutes of this episode. So the Rangers down the stretch here have looked absolutely brutal. They are 2-8 in their last 10. They recently just lost on Monday night to the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe they actually play tonight while we're recording this episode.
Yeah, they play Buffalo.
Okay, so if they lose tonight, I believe they will drop to 1-9 in their last 10. They'll still be 2-8 in their last 10. But again, it's not ideal. They are in a really rough situation. They are starting to really fall in the wild card race. They were in a pretty good cushion. They were third in the Metro at one point. Now they're still 1 point out from the Flyers, who are in that second wild card spot, but they're tied with the Islanders, 1 point behind the Penguins, or tied with the Islanders, 1 point ahead of the Penguins, and 2 points ahead of Columbus. Columbus is last in that division. So things are really getting troubling here in New York, and they trade Trouba. Maybe that was the solution to the problem, some people thought. But now, not sure if people are thinking that. So, Carter, what is the issue with this Rangers team? Because I can't really seem to gauge what the problem is.
I honestly have no idea. Like, I've been looking kind of at this roster, and like, they have players at literally every position. Like, that first line is still unreal. Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere has really started to blossom. That second line, too, Kreider's looked really good. Zibanejad has got to start picking things up.
Yeah, Zibanejad's been lacking, too. I'm going to say this. I don't think Kreider's been that good. He does have 10 goals. He's been very bad defensively, though. Like, his defensive game is absolutely atrocious. Zibanejad, I've seen highlights from multiple games. He'll just turn the puck over and look like he just doesn't care out there. He's, lost. And I think maybe that is the issue. Maybe your big guys aren't performing to the level they should be. Trocheck, only 17 points in 27 games this year. That's not terrible, but I think for someone like him, he should be doing better.
So
I don't know what it is.
So really, when I'm looking at this, it's scoring outside of Artemi Panarin, Will Kyle,
Cool.
and Alexei Lafreniere and Trocheck. Since November, these guys have led in goals. Panarin with 9, Will Kyle, or is it Kyle?
It's Cooley. It's not
Cooley?
like
Okay, my bad.
Cooley.
Will Cooley, Alexei Lafreniere with 5, and then Trocheck with 6. They do not have a player above a point per game other than Artemi Panarin since November.
Yeah, it's not.
Cooley is the closest, but he's at 14 through 18. Now, we're not expecting Cooley to be carrying this team by any means. He's only 22 years old.
He's been a real positive. He already has a career high in points. He
has looked very good. He's 22 years old. He's looking very good. And there's just so much bad on this roster that's just not really helping them. They gotta start getting some help here. They gotta start helping Igor Shesterkin. They gotta start helping Jonathan Quick. They gotta start scoring some goals here. It's really not looking too good. Kind of when you look at it. I mean, they've had some games where they've popped off and they've scored a lot of goals, but in their most recent game, they scored. This was against the Kraken a couple nights ago. They scored 5 goals, and you'd think that that'd be enough, but then goaltending let them down, right? Yeah. And there's times where the goaltending's been letting them down, but then there's also been some times where they just haven't scored. They got a lot of games with 1 goal, 2 goals. They've
dried up offensively.
They have 10 games with less than 2 goals, and when you have a team that's, with Panarin, who's an absolute superstar, Lafreniere, who's also been really good at times, Cooley, who's looked unbelievable, right? You need to start getting some scoring. Adam Fox does not have a goal this season, and he is supposed to be your Norris caliber defenseman. He's been playing pretty good defensively, don't get me wrong. He's looked very good on the defensive side of the puck. But you also pay this guy to score goals. You pay him to score goals, you pay him to get some assists. Right now, he's only doing one of those things. So you need Adam Fox to start scoring. The defense has looked pretty good, but they gotta start scoring some goals. Some problems could end up arising for the Rangers next season. They have, I think, $16 million in salary cap, and they got a lot of guys they got to re-sign. They'll have Charlie Lindgren, he's due for a contract. Keandre Miller, due for a contract. Schneider will be due for a contract in 2 years. Cooley's going to be due for a contract. Kakko's due for a contract. Edstrom's due for a contract. So they have a lot of guys. Ty Smith, I think. Is it Ty Smith? Riley Smith, sorry. Riley Smith. He's also due for a contract. There's so many guys on this team that are due for a contract as well. So the Rangers got to figure this out quick before this Lafreniere contract kicks in, the Shesterkin contract kicks in. Because after that, it's going to be very hard to build some very good caliber teams for the New York Rangers.
So I have a few stats here that I do want to talk about that I looked up while you were talking. So I did a list today looking at the worst defensive pairings in the entire NHL. I used X goals against average per 60, which is the best stat on Money Puck to use to measure how a defenseman's doing this year or how a D pairing is doing this year. The Keandre Miller, Braden Schneider second pairing is 4th worst in X goals against average. Brutal. When you look in terms, and we talked a lot about the offense. We brought up the offense a ton and how the offense seems to just be dry. Looking at the shots on goal against for the Rangers, they are bottom 5. They are bottom 5 in the NHL in shots on goal against. Top 5 most, if that makes sense. So honestly, again, it has just been it seems like defensively they have become really they just rely on Shesterkin too much. I think that's the biggest thing. They rely on him way too much. And when you look at the numbers, Shesterkin's kind of falling back down to earth. He has a 2.95 goals against. He almost has a 3 goals against average.
What's his save percentage?
He has a .910. Still, even then, his numbers are still good, but
here's the thing: is that I get that that's I think we talked about this last episode where I said I hate looking at goals against average and I love looking at save percentage more. When it comes to the New York Rangers as well, save percentage is also something I hate looking at because they rely so much on him to do so much that by the end of the year, he's tired.
Yeah.
Like, he's facing so many shots a night, and you just gotta feel really bad for him at times, because he's just facing so many shots, and it just completely gets him tired and might throw him out for like a little bit of the game, and it sucks for him. But again, he's not putting up his Vezina caliber numbers, but he's looking like the same goalie he was for the last 2 years, where other than his goals against average, his save percentage was a .916 and a .913. And then this year he's got a .910. So he's kind of hovering around that .915, .910 range for his save percentage. But his goals against average has taken a huge jump in these last 4 years. I'll quickly read it off. He's got a 2.7 or 2.07 in his Vezina year, 2.48 the year prior. Last year, a 2.58, and this year, a 2.95. So they got to help Igor Shesterkin out.
Yeah, 100%. We've been saying that for years. This podcast has been around for almost 3 seasons. We've said this for years, that things need to change. Yeah, it has been. It has been around for that long, and we said it. So, again, we'll see how things go here for the Rangers. I think it's worth reading their upcoming schedule. They play Buffalo tonight, which they're probably going to win tonight because that's just how it works with this podcast. What?
I mean, last time they played Buffalo, they got pounded 6-1.
True, but
so
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They also play LA that following Saturday. They play St. Louis the day after on Sunday. Then they go to Nashville, go to Dallas. Then they go back at home against Carolina, and then they go to New Jersey before the Christmas break. So
they got a couple home straight to away back-to-backs.
Yeah, going from at home in LA to on the road in St. Louis, that's definitely
the only good thing is like the New Jersey one is not that far.
No, it's like literally like just a probably hour drive, not even.
Yeah.
So again, I think the Rangers probably can turn this around, but if they don't, do we see Laviolette get fired? Is somebody else going to get traded?
Oh, I have a feeling that it would be Laviolette. I understand they won the President's Trophy last year, but right now they're dealing with the same kind of issues that they were dealing with last year. And I understand that, they won the President's Trophy. There's no real issues there. Well, no, there's still issues, but they were just kind of masked by good goaltending play that you got out of Igor Shesterkin and a lot of high-end scoring. Right now, you're not getting that high-end scoring. So you can look at the players, or you can also look at the coach, which is what the Bruins did. I understand we completely ranted on the Bruins for it, but I mean,
yeah, Montgomery was essentially like the scapegoat, it seemed like, in Boston. Now, Drury, I think, is another one we could bring up. Could you see the GM Chris Drury getting fired? Seeing a goalie get fired mid-season, but you're gonna let a coach go because of a slump. I don't know.
I don't know where the Rangers go here. They're definitely gonna have to make a move before the new year. That is my take, and I will say that they are gonna have to do. I think losing Trouba is obviously it's what they had to do, but they are seriously going to need to acquire a defenseman.
Yeah. If I'm gonna say this right now, if they go on that that away road trip where they play St. Louis, Nashville, and Dallas, and I'm gonna be honest, if they drop all 3 of them, I could see Laviolette getting fired. Drury, I think it's a little more rare. You don't see a GM get fired mid-season. Doesn't happen very often unless the team is absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Laviolette has a better chance of getting fired, even though I disagree with that too, because this is his second season with the team. I don't know, but we'll see where it goes from there with the New York Rangers. Let's transition over to the Colorado Avalanche. Carter, remember our last episode where we talked about Colorado and they were down 4-0 against Buffalo?
Yeah.
When we said that mid-episode? Well, what happened at the end of that game?
I mean, they fucking choked it. That was crazy.
Unbelievable that they came back. And
Classic Buffalo, though. Like, we can't lie. I mean, but my point in bringing that up was Georgiev, because we were ripping on him.
Yeah.
And then we got our point proven, and now he's been sent to San Jose. So
now he's been banished to hell. So the San Jose Sharks have acquired forward Nikolai Kovalenko, goaltender Alex Georgiev, who was retained by 14%, a 2026 second-round pick, and a 2025 fifth-round pick. In exchange, the Avalanche acquired goaltender Mackenzie Blackwood, forward Giovanni Smith, a 2027 fifth-round pick. So Colorado essentially turned their goalie tandem from Alex Georgiev and Justice Onnnn to Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood in the span of 2 days. So, Carter, when you saw this trade drop, how'd you feel?
good, honestly. Kind of, I guess I'll say kind of.
You're a little worried because you're a Jets fan, I'm sure.
No, that's not it. I'm worried from a Colorado perspective.
Really?
Here's the thing. It's a great trade. I love it. Blackwood, he's a solid goalie, no doubt about that. But at the same time, I'm also going to say, I was expecting a pure number one that they'd go out and get. Not like a pure number one, but like some sort of top end goalie. I understand it's very rare that kind of happens in the NHL. Kind of mid-season. It's like a quarterback getting traded mid-season. That shit just doesn't happen.
Well, let me ask you this question. Well, is Blackwood and Wedgwood better than Georgiev and Onnnn?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I'm not saying that the moves that they made weren't good. They were definitely the right moves they had to make. I'm just saying that I'm kind of worried when it comes to kind of playoff time on how these goalies will perform.
Again, neither of them I don't think have playoff experience, but I think I'm taking these two guys over Georgiev. Wedgwood has been
for sure.
Awesome. Wedgwood has been awesome with Nashville since coming there. Blackwood put up like a point, was just below a .900 last year on a horrible Sharks team. And so far through 19 games with the Sharks this year, he had a .911. So again, I think that Blackwood and Wedgwood would make a very good tandem. They have a lot of woods there. I'll say this. Blackwood, Wedgwood, Miles Wood. They have a bunch of woods. It's a lot of wood. Oh, my God. All right, I'll stop. But I still think, like, Colorado made out good here, and they have a good tandem. I get you're a little bit concerned for playoffs, but I think I'm more comfortable with this tandem than I am with the tandem they had at the start of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
How do you feel about San Jose's end? They get Nikolai Kovalenko, they get Georgiev, who's on an expiring deal, and they get a second and a fifth.
I don't know too much on Kovalenko. I'll be 100% honest with you.
Kovalenko is a player who came from the KHL in his time with the Colorado Avalanche. He only played a little bit during his time with Colorado. Yeah, during his time with Colorado, he had.
So he played 28 games this season, and he had 8 points.
Yeah, so he's
25. Okay, so he's not. He's
younger.
Not a developmental piece. You're kind of just hoping that he clicks.
He's a younger player. That's what I would say. He was in the KHL. Carter. He was a 2018 draft pick. He was drafted in 2018. So he was.
I thought he was 17.
Freeze off. No, he's 2018. So, yeah. I think that for Kovalenko, he'll be a good ad. Could be a legitimate good third liner for the Avalanche. Just remember, in 22-23 with Torpedo, he put up 54 points in 56 games played. in the KHL as I think a 23-year-old at the time. And then the following year in an injured season put up 35 and 42. So this kid has the numbers. And then Georgiev, he's on an expiring deal. So I'm not like too worried about Georgiev as a whole. Like he's probably just going to play in San Jose and then be gone. Like they're not going to re-sign him. And I mean, hey, they'll help him get first overall at least. So that's a benefit. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty good trade there by Colorado. I think both teams made out pretty good on that deal. Okay, next up, we're going to move into the Chicago Blackhawks now. Luke Richardson has been fired as the head coach of the team. Again, this is the part where we really wish Jack was here because we really can't wrap our head around this one. Carter, when you saw Richardson fired, besides not knowing who he was, how'd you feel?
Again, we talked about this before.
We did.
Coaching is not,
I said we did.
Yeah. Coaching is not the problem. It's the fucking roster. It's bad.
Yeah.
We've touched base on it so much. Like it's getting dry at this point. You're wasting developmental years of Bedard. And it sucks, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think that Richardson did not have a great way with, he would change the lineups every freaking game. Would change the lineups all the time. When players would get chemistry, he would basically just put them on a different line. So I think that was a problem, but it's still a little strange. I get it. It's still a little bit of a head scratcher. The team is rebuilding. So, I don't really know why, you would want to, it's a little weird, but Anders Sorensen's coming in. He's been in the AHL for a couple of seasons. He was down there with Frank Nazar, Kevin Korchinski, Artem Levshunov, and I heard that there is a chance at some point Frank Nazar is going to get caught up to the main roster.
Oh, I think he should.
He should have been from the start. And I'm going to say this. A lot of what we mentioned in our Thanksgiving Outlook episode 2 episodes ago about the Blackhawks and a lot of their depth not being there and they have no young players. We can reiterate that whole conversation again, but I don't think that it lies entirely on Richardson. I do think a part of it is on Richardson, but I also think that a lot of it lies on Davidson for not really building up the youth. There's no youth in this roster. You look at San Jose, they have Celebrini, Smith. They have all the young guys in there. They have got guys in the American Hockey League too. I know Chicago does as well, but you got to have some guys up in the main program. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. And I do get from Richardson's perspective, maybe you want to get a younger coach in there because Richardson is in his 50s. So maybe getting a younger coach in there would be a benefit, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to have to start bringing some of these young guys up to the NHL soon.
Yeah, I think they should. We can take a look at that real quick. Let me pull up the
Nazar should definitely be brought up to the main roster soon. I think you give Levshunov a chance at the main roster. Don't burn his games, but just give him a chance.
All right. So I pulled up the stats for this season for the Blackhawks. Frank Nazar, 11 goals, 13 assists, 24 points in 20 games played this season with Rockford. He is dominating. He needs to be up in the NHL. He needs to be.
Yeah.
Seriously. Korchinski is also down here too. Artem Levshunov has 8 points in 18 games played. There's even guys like Del Mastro has looked solid down below. Andreas Athanasiou's down here. He was placed on waivers a couple of days ago. But again, overall, I think that definitely there definitely should be at least a couple young guys up there. I get you want to have some guys to surround Bedard around that are good, but why not put guys around Bedard that are going to be there long term? Look at their daily faceoff lineup and what Bedard's first line is. I am sorry, Mikheyev and Kurashev are not going to be there long term. Kurashev might be. Mikheyev is definitely not going to be. Even guys like Hall and Bertuzzi, they're not going to be there long term. I don't really get these moves. I get you wanted to be a little bit more competitive, but it's still such a big head scratcher to me, honestly. So again, I don't know how you feel about that, but let's move on here from Chicago. Let's move into other news. There isn't a lot of other news. I did want to just kind of see if there was anything else. I don't think there really is. Kevin Shattenkirk retired at the age of 35. He played for the Avalanche, Blues, Capitals, Rangers, Lightning, Ducks, and Bruins. So best in retirement to Shattenkirk. And I think that's pretty much it. Just a couple of injuries. Carter, did you have any trending players you would like to mention to the people?
Oh, do I have any? That's a great one. Let's see. Do I have any trending players?
Oh boy, I do have one. It involves Montreal's Patrick Laine. He
Yeah.
is the first player since Yannick Perrault to score 3 goals in his first 4 games with the Canadiens. He has been absolutely awesome this year for Montreal. Absolutely awesome since coming in, and I know that makes you very happy to hear.
It does. Everyone knows I love Patty Laine. It's my favorite Jet of all time. One of them, at least.
I got another one. Lane Hudson is the 8th rookie defenseman in NHL history with 21 plus assists in his first 30 career games with the league. The only defensemen that had more were Quinn Hughes, Nick Lidstrom, Larry Murphy, and Brian Leach. So good company there for Lane Hudson for sure.
I will say, my last one. Player second in points in the last week, Matvei Mishkov.
Oh my God. We're mentioning this guy all the time.
8 points in his last 4 games, 2 of them being goals. I would also like to say he is now 20 years old, so he will not be able to get the overtime game-winning goal record as a teenager, but he does join some elite company.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that last episode, but he is in very elite company with that record, 100%. Yeah. One more for me. Wings goalie Sebastian Cossa is the first goaltender in NHL history to win his debut via shootout after coming into the game for his starter. So congrats to Cossa. I'm going to the Flyers game tomorrow. I would have seen him, but they sent him down. So I'm very annoyed.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm very annoyed about that. All right, moving out of trending players and I guess kind of the NHL news. Carter, do you want to dive into the Four Nations?
As far as
the
rosters?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to look at the Four Nations rosters that were officially announced. Again, we do want to say that these were announced a while ago, so we may be a little bit late to the party. We're going to start off with Finland. So I'm going to read it, just read the roster as a whole. You start off with Sebastian Aho, Eric Haula, Anton Lundell, Joel Armia, Rupe Hint, Eetu Luostarinen, Alexander Barkov, Capo Kakko, Mikko Rantanen, Mikhail Granlund, Patrick Laine, Teuvo Teravainen, and Arturi Lehkonen. Carter, were there any snubs on there? Any guys that you were surprised that really didn't make it? Or otherwise, was this kind of a perfect forward core for you?
It was pretty ideal for Finland. I think the only guy... Oh, what?
Yeah,
whoa.
I'm just on the roster so you guys can see it.
Oh, why, thank you. No, honestly, this was pretty good for me.
Yeah, the only guy that I think we missed out on was Kotkaniemi.
Yeah.
We kind of got wrong, I'm pretty sure, on the forward core, as well as that, too, we missed Matthias Micheli. That was the only other one that I noticed. As well as that, too, the blue line, Yanni Hakanpää, Esa Lindell, Rasmus Ristolainen, Miro Heiskanen, Olli Mata, Juuso Välimäki, and Nico Mikkola. No surprises there. Hakanpää we missed. That was the guy that I didn't think of. But overall, we got most of that right. And then your goalies, Kevin Lankinen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and Jussi Saros. We got that right as well. We streaked out on all 3 of those. For Team Sweden, let me pull that up here. So Sweden, Victor Arvidsson, Philip Forsberg, Gustav Nyquist, Jesper Bratt, William Karlsson, Elias Pettersson, Leo Carlsson, Adrian Kempe, Lucas Raymond, Joel Eriksson Ek, Elias Lindholm, Mika Zibanejad, and William Nylander. Carter, any surprises there? Any thoughts there? Arvidsson was a little bit of a confusing one. I didn't see him making this.
I didn't either. But I mean, Sweden. Looking at this, Sweden's got a good team. Like,
yeah, they do, 100%.
Sweden is probably one of my favorite teams. I will say Eklund not being on there does kind of suck. I like William Eklund.
Yeah, he was a real snub. He's somebody who I really was like, wow, he didn't make this team. He's been like on such a hot streak for San Jose. It's been awesome to see.
I know.
Again, really no other surprises outside of that. Maybe Elias Lindholm. He's been struggling this year. He maybe a surprise he's in there. Your defensemen, Rasmus Anderson, Rasmus Dahlin, Victor Hedman, Jonas Brodin, Matthias Ekholm, Eric Carlson, and Gustav Forsling. No surprises here either, right, Carter? Kind of expected all these guys. Still a good blue line. And their goalies, we got that right too. Philip Gustafson, Jacob Markstrom, and Linus Olmark. So 3 very good goalies there. We knew that was coming. All right, let's get into Team Canada now. So Canada, Carter's got a lot of comments here. He just let out a big sigh. So we'll start off with the forward core. Sam Bennett, Seth Jarvis, Connor McDavid, Anthony Cirelli, Travis Konechny, Braden Point, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Sam Reinhart, Brandon Hagel, Brad Marchand, Mark Stone, and Mitch Marner. Carter, any surprises, any complaints on the forward core? How are we feeling?
Where in the fuck is Dylan Strome?
That's what I thought you were going to say.
This guy is having such a good year, and that doesn't get him a Four Nations nod?
Yeah.
Outrageous. I'm actually so pissed. I don't know what Canada's been doing recently when it comes to these national tournaments, but they have been absolutely fucking it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, Strome is your only complaint in there?
Off the top of my head, I mean...
Is there somebody, are there players on that team who you're like, why the hell are they there?
The only one that... Bennett was one that I was so confused about.
So Bennett, I'll explain it a little bit. Bennett has actually been really good this year. Bennett so far this season, he's actually been putting up really good numbers offensively. He has, through the season so far, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points in 28 games played. He has also been a very known as a physical player as well. He can piss people off. He can kind of be like a Matthew Tkachuk of Team Canada, essentially. So I get him being on there. I don't know if did I prove you wrong, or you still a little...
I still just want to know why Dylan Strome is not on this fucking roster.
What about Cirelli? That got a lot of complaints. Do you not like Cirelli being on there?
Cirelli, I expected to make it. I think he's kind of overshadowed by a lot of star power on that Tampa team. But I've always kind of liked Cirelli. It might be maybe a little bit of a bias thing, but I've kind of always liked Cirelli. I think he's always been really good.
He's there to kill penalties, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's there for PK. I understand that there's no kind of room for Dylan. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I wanted Dylan Strome on this team.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I will say though, shout out Seth Jarvis for making this fucking roster.
Booyah! Yeah, I knew you were gonna be happy about that. I'm happy Jarvis got in there. He's awesome.
I am too. I was shocked that he made it because everyone was saying that there was rumblings of him making it. I'm like, no way this guy I'm like, I would be shocked if he makes this team. And he did. And hey, hell of a job, Seth. Hell of a job.
Kale McCarr, Josh Morrissey, Alex Pietrangelo, Devon Tays, Shea Fedor, Travis Sanheim, and Colton Parayko. Yeah, the only one that's really a head scratcher is Parayko. Parayko's a really big blank in my head.
Yeah, I'm upset by that. Honestly, I really, Hamilton not being on there was kind of crazy.
Uyghur as well, really just.
Is Dobson not on there?
Dobson didn't make it either. Bouchard didn't make
What
it.
Canada in defense makes no sense. They didn't have Zane Perrick on the World Junior team. He's on it now, thankfully. But wow, Canada is horrible at scouting their own players.
Yeah, Parayko's solely on there because the GM that made this team is the Blues GM, Doug Armstrong.
No shit.
Yeah. It's the only reason why he's on here. Honestly.
It pisses me off, man.
You could have had so many better options there, except besides Parayko. I don't really get it, honestly.
Even Pietrangelo on that team, I kind of get he's been around the league for a long time and he's experienced, right? But I would take Travis Sanheim dropped over Noah Dobson.
No, I think Pietrangelo should be there. Sanheim, you can make an argument for Dobson, but
I'm just saying, Noah Dobson not on this team is a crime.
Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that over someone like Pareko or Sanheim. Your goalies, Jordan Bennington, Aiden Hill, Sam Montembault. I don't know if you got that right. I should probably have the rosters pulled up myself, actually. That's
I
that's Finland.
I didn't. I had Talbot over Montembeau.
Yeah, you had two of the three. How do you feel about Monty being there?
I don't mind it.
He's really only the third string, so it's not like
He's hot and cold. That's the thing.
yeah, he's
Like,
the third string too. He's only there because there's games being played in Montreal, and you got to have a Canadian there.
So one of my we talked about this when we were going over my Four Nations team, and I said that they're gonna go with the hot goalie coming in, and I think that's what they're also trying to do with Sam Montembeau, because he is a very hot and cold goalie. I've noticed, and that a lot of people have seen, not just me. So when he's hot, but when he's cold. So I think you're kind of hoping that, maybe by Four Nation he gets really hot, because then you're like, okay, we'll throw him in for a game or two and see what happens.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's scary. I don't like our goalies.
We'll see what happens there. And then finally, Team USA. Oh, I can't get it into the thing. Team USA. Forward core, Matt Boldy, Jack Hughes, Brock Nelson, Kyle Connor, Chris Kreider, Brady Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, Dylan Larkin, Matthew Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Vincent Trocheck, and JT Miller as your forward core. I got a couple complaints as a U.S. person, U.S. citizen, actually. My complaints, I don't get why Kreider's on here. He's been trashed this season. I don't get why you don't put someone on like Tage Thompson or even like Cole Caulfield. Even though Caulfield, I kind of get why on a level. Trocheck, I can get being there, but it's still a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Brock Nelson, I'm fine with it. Nelson has been good for the Islanders. He's put up 33 goals, 37 goals last two seasons. He's been consistently solid on the Islanders. I think he should be on this team. He's a really under the radar player just because the New York hasn't been like that much on the news. But I do think overall that it is a good forward court. Carter, do you have any complaints though? I know you might be happy for some of the things that are wrong because you're a Canadian, but like from your perspective, do you have anything wrong here?
From my perspective, I do like when you touch base on Cole Caulfield or Tage Thompson. I would have taken Cole Caulfield on this team, especially with Matt Boldy. I understand Boldy's a lot higher potential, and Jack Hughes, right? They're a lot higher up than Cole Caulfield is right now, but this guy's playing at such an elite level, man. He's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL right now. Like, he's first in the U.S. in goals. Like, he's outscoring Kyle Connor. He's outscoring Tage Thompson. Like, I get the point production isn't there, but like, he's been really good. Another guy that I'm shocked didn't make this team is Clayton Keller.
Yeah, Keller was a little bit of a shock too. I feel like they went with some Rangers to really kind of just, original six bias.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that Clayton Keller wasn't on that team. And a guy who I thought, maybe could have made it as kind of like a Sam Bennett type player, but not really Sam Bennett, is Connor Garland. I thought Connor Garland could have been a guy that maybe snuck in there.
I really thought Kiefer Sherwood was going to get into the USA roster.
Yeah.
He's a player. He's like Garland. He's like grit, physical, like he kills off penalties. I really thought he was going to make this team. That might have been it would have been one of my stupidest takes I would have ever had if I actually put him on my roster. But he was somebody who I really thought about. Again, going back to Thompson, he should 100% be on here. I would take Thompson over Kreider any day of the week. I can see an argument for Caulfield being and not being on this team because I see the argument for not, because if he's going to be on this team, he's going to be playing a fourth line role, and putting a 5'7" fourth liner, I don't really know if that is
not
very
ideal.
But he is like third in goals, essentially. I know he's tied for sixth when it comes to it, but I think he's like fourth in goals. Sorry. Fourth in goals, essentially, when you look in the grand scheme of things. So he probably should be on this roster. But again, I do understand the fact that, maybe you don't want to put a 5'7" guy on your fourth line. Looking at your defensemen, Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Jacob Slavin, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski, and Charlie McAvoy. I got to be honest, Carter, I have no complaints with the blue line. The blue line is good. I don't have any complaints.
I agree. I think it's really good. I will say though, it is a very good blue line.
Who do we?
I think that Bear definitely should have had a chance of maybe making this team.
That and John Carlson. John
Yeah.
Carlson was the only other guy that I really had like complaints about.
Just say Neil Pionk.
And Neil Pionk. And
Yes.
But-
Whoa, Neil Pionk! What?
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I think he's been really good.
All right. I do understand. I do like this blue line though. And then your goalies: Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman. Kind of what we had. That's like our 3 goalies. We got that right.
All of them suck against Winnipeg.
Against you mean-
Josh Morrissey is going to have a field day against those fuckers.
What do you mean? Hellebuck's going to be the starter.
I know.
Oh my
Shut up.
All right. If you had to rank these teams from 4 to 1, how would you rank them?
I think almost exactly how you have it in front of, as we said it, but I'd take Canada over US because fuck the US.
Here he goes again. Yeah, Finland 4 for me, Sweden 3. It's still the same as I had it. Canada 2, USA 1 by a smidge.
Yep.
By a smidge.
So
Very close.
now that we're done talking about 4 nations a little bit, what are we putting on the line here?
What are we putting on the line?
What are we putting on the line here? Jack, here's the thing. Jack has been avoiding this. Our punishment, my punishment with Jack, he has been avoiding for too long.
That's probably why he hasn't been on.
That's why he hasn't come back. So I'm going to just call him out now on the podcast.
Oh,
Jack, you motherfucker. You owe me.
Oh, God.
You an address. It's supposed to be made outfit. I'll settle for a dress and in full makeup done by your girlfriend. If you are not on this next episode and you do not fucking have this done, we are going to have some serious problems, Jack. I'm not even going to look at the screen right now. I'm looking dead into the camera because, Jack, you owe me this. I would have held up my end of the bargain by now. You have disappeared, and it's every time it's day of that we get these problems. Okay, Jack? I'm serious.
No, not even the day of. It's like literally hours before we record.
Yeah, Jack, you could have told us at any time today that you were sick, but you tell us at 4:00.
We're recording this at 6 p.m. Eastern. Well, it's 7 p.m. Eastern now, but...
Dude, it's wild. Okay. Anyways, I'm done with my Jack rant. Jack, if you're not on next episode, we're going to have a problem. So, Nordic, back to what I was originally going to talk about here. What are we putting on the line here?
Should we do like a bet between all the 4 nations? Like, if like one nation wins, we have to do like a punishment?
Okay.
So, like, if Canada wins, I have to do something. If USA wins, you have to do something. If Sweden wins, like, Jack has to do something. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay. I got... If
Actually,
Canada...
For USA, you can do me and Jack as a collective.
Yeah, we're just going to take you and Jack as a collective.
All right.
We're just going to do US and Canada. We're not taking... Here is what your punishment is going to be. I've already thought about it.
Okay.
If Team Canada wins, you guys are going to have either a certain... I don't know how big of a water bottle, but you're going to have some sort of bottle or an amount of maple syrup that you are going to have to finish by the end of the podcast.
A bottle of maple syrup. Okay.
That is, listen, it's not like a crazy punishment, but it's like just something really minor.
Okay. I'll have to
I'm
think
not putting 10 grand on this.
put 10 grand on it. Oh my god.
I'll let you think this through. All right.
What's an American thing that people do?
I gotta drink a bottle of Jim Beam and drive home. That's my punishment.
Oh my god, Carter. Holy crap.
What?
Jesus.
What?
Let me think of one. I'll get back to you on that, and I will think.
All right, we'll announce it by next podcast.
Yeah. So, what was yours? Jack and Nordic have to drink
a certain amount of maple syrup. I haven't quite figured out what it's going to be.
Just do like a bottle of maple syrup.
Okay, but I get to pick the size of the bottle.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna do bottle.
Okay, let's go on Amazon here. What's the biggest bottle I can order to their house?
Syrup. All right, maybe we'll use this as our advantage. If you guys have any punishment ideas for Carter if US wins the Four Nations, comment them below.
All right, I found a 1 liter thing of pure maple syrup. That's what it's gonna get ordered to your house.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Dude, it's gonna be good. Winding Road is good.
Jesus Christ. All right, we have a couple other things to talk about here before we wrap up this episode. First off, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Kings. The Los Angeles Kings have won 6 straight games this season. Carter, I want you to pull up the Kings stats. But
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I got you.
All right, so the Kings through this 6-game winning streak, I believe it started in November, but let me pull up their schedule here real quick. It started off I think it started off before American Thanksgiving, with a 4-1 win against the Winnipeg Jets. So good win there to start, beating, I think at the time, the best team in the league. They go on Thanksgiving. They go out to Anaheim. They beat Anaheim 2-1. Then Ottawa comes to their building the next day on Saturday the 30th. They win 5-2. Then that following week, they play against Dallas and Minnesota, 2 top teams in the Central Division, and they win 3-2 and 4-1. Then they play the Islanders last night, and they win 3-1 in that one as well. They are actually at the beginning of a big road trip. They don't have a home game until December 28th. So they are on this big road trip where they go through the Islanders, the Devils, the Rangers, the Penguins, the Flyers. Then they go to Nashville randomly. Then they go over to Washington. Then they go back home. So they are on like a absolutely ginormous road trip. I think it's actually a 7-game road trip, and they just started it. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But overall, they have won 6 in a row, 3 of those being against the 1, 2, and 3 in the Central Division. Carter, how do you feel about the Kings so far? They beat your Jets. Do you think this team's legitimate? And they're kind of proving us wrong too, because we both had them like not very high in standings.
They've looked really good. I will say, kind of along this win streak, 6 games, pretty impressive. I will say I've been quite impressed with them this year. I feel like every year we look at Anze Kopitar and say he's going to take a step back, but he never seems to skip a beat. On this win streak, he has 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. So he's kind of been just as good as we've kind of assumed he'd be. Their point leader, Adrian Kempe, he's got 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points as well. So those have kind of been their 2 top scorers, obviously being their 2 best players. Alex Laferriere, wow, he has looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's really looked good, and he's like playing what, third line minutes?
I'll get that for you in a second. If you told me that of the players they acquired in the rebuild, that Laferriere would be their best, I would be shocked. He's playing third
I
line.
would not have believed you. Over that time, like you talk about the players that they brought in the rebuild, and some of the guys that you're looking at, Quentin Byfield, 6 games played on that road trip. He played every single one of them. 1 point, he got an assist. Brant Clark, another one of their guys, 2 points, 2 assists. I mean, obviously
through the whole season, though. I think he's looked good.
They both look decent, but kind of during this win streak, you have not seen their names on the score sheet too often.
Yeah, I will say, like, it seems like there's a lot of the players on the team who are, like, not, like, Byfield, like, as you said, like, 1 point in those 6 games, like, he has really been struggling. Like, I think he only has 11 points this year through, I think, almost 30 games into the season. He's been really struggling. As well as that, too, Alex Turcotte, a high draft pick. He hasn't been in the NHL that long because he dealt with so many injuries, but he hasn't looked the best either.
He had 3 points through 6 games on that win streak. So
really? Okay, he has 9 points in 23 games, has 13 points in 55 career games. So maybe he's kind of starting to pick it up.
He has. I will say I've caught a little bit of some LA Kings highlights in some games. He's looked pretty good. I will say.
Yeah, I can get behind that for sure. How about the goaltending? The goaltending is like that was something that was a huge wild card. And for the Kings, the numbers may not look good, but I want to say this, Carter. The Kings have allowed the least amount of shots in the entire NHL.
Yeah, I'm looking at so through their 6-game win streak. This has it at 7 games. I don't know why. That's kind of confusing, but whatever. We're gonna live by it. So David Riddick, he played 4 games along this, posting a 1.65 goals against average and a 9.24 save percentage. He only faced 61 shots through those 4 games, so that is very impressive. As far as on the defensive side, because they're averaging 66 shots, not 61. He saved 61. That's on me. Yeah. But still, you look at that, and that's less than 22 shots. That's less than 20 shots a night.
Right.
Like that is, I think, if my math is correct, that's almost 17 shots a night. 16 and a half is the correct math.
Oh, look at you.
Do you know how crazy that is?
That's
to have that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. To allow 16 shots like once or twice is crazy. But to average that over a 4-game span is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, if they could do that for Darcy Kemper, he's faced 43 shots a night through the 2 games. Now, that's not anything like that's still unbelievable. Facing like 20 shots a night, like teams would dream of that. Fucking Igor Shesterkin would live to face 20 shots at least once this season.
100%.
But
What's crazy. I want to say this. What's crazy is that they have less shots allowed than the Montreal Canadiens, who are last in shots for, have shots. It's pretty insane. Pretty wild. Like, honestly. They have less shots allowed than Montreal does shots.
What? When did this? Okay, hold on.
What are you looking at here? I can help.
Okay, so I've been looking at their, because how many games do they play? 6?
6. They're on a 6-game winning streak. I'm pretty
okay. So I've pulled up. Hold on. Who's the one that doesn't have this time on ice? So I've been looking at Quant Hockey and I've been pulling up their stats. They've had 3 goalies play.
I probably, because they do have. I looked at their stats earlier today. They have let Eric Portillo play a game. They have let Phoenix Copley play a game as well this year.
Copley did not play during that, but Portillo played. But I'm so confused because it's 6 games, but Quant is telling me that there's 7 games played between them. So I don't know what happened.
Maybe somebody got pulled. That might have been what it is,
or an injury or something.
Which does it say which game it's for?
No.
Because Riddick has been
Anaheim.
The Anaheim game. Hang on.
But he had 58 minutes on ice, and they won 2-1. So I don't know. Some LA fan, let us know what we're missing. When a goalie got pulled or something.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean, great goaltending play, unbelievable defense. I will say the one game that Portillo did play, they let it up almost 30 shots. Not ideal, but at the same time, pretty good sailing.
The game that Portillo played, though, he had a 1.02 goals against and a .966. He only allowed 1 goal.
Okay, I found the game. Yeah.
Okay.
I found the game. So I guess the stats are a little bit flawed for David Riddick because he played a minute 23 on ice on that Kings Anaheim game. So I'm assuming he got hurt.
He must have gotten hurt. Something must have happened there.
But he played the next night. What the fuck?
Hang on.
I'm so fucking confused.
I'm trying to find what happened. Portillo, 3rd-round pick. I'm reading like the article. Was recovering that Scenario Hockey League replaced Darcy Kemper. Been on injured in November 15th to disclose injury. That's weird. Oh, Portillo briefly left with 9:30 left in the 3rd period because of an apparent skate blade issue and was replaced by David Riddick, who made 2 saves while Portillo returned a minute and 23 later. That's
Okay.
wrong.
Okay. So we've solved it.
Okay.
So the numbers for Riddick are a little flawed, but still ridiculous. It's still going to come out to about 20 shots a night, which is still unbelievable.
Yeah, still unreal with how this team has been playing. All right, any more to follow up on LA?
No, they've looked good.
So we're going to move into a new segment that we're doing. It is the power rankings that we're going to do every single week. So basically how this is going to work, me and Carter are going to collectively try and discuss a whole entire power ranking of the top 25% of the teams in the NHL, which is the top 8 for those who do not know math. We actually tried to do this for 15 minutes earlier, and it did not end well because we went from bottom to top. We did it all wrong. We were like, oh, we can't exclude this team. We can't exclude this team. So we're going to go top to bottom here, starting off at number 1. I'll let Carter go first. Carter, who's the best team in the league right now that you're thinking? And by the way, this is measured from December 1st to now. We're going to and I also want to say this too. We're also factoring in the fact that the whole season's in play too. But most of it will be based off of
we're gonna, because this is gonna be a weekly thing, so we're starting this off by basing this off of December, and then it's just gonna go down to who was the best teams in the NHL of the last week. So let's say San Jose goes on a 3-0 run, right, and they dominate for a week. They'll be number 1 on the list. Okay, so don't assume that we're saying San Jose is the best team in the National Hockey League. No, they were the best team last week. But right now we're factoring in kind of just the month of December. I think my number 1 team is the team that's probably the hottest right now is going to be the LA Kings at 1.
Yeah, I think you got to put LA there. They have beat a lot of the top teams that are in the Central Division. They're 3-0 in the month of December. They are 8-2 in their last 10. Yeah, they have to be at number 1. We just talked about them too, so they have to be at number 1 for sure. Number 2 for me. There's a lot of good teams that you could go with in my eyes. You got the Wild, the Jets, the Caps. I'm actually going to go, Carter, I want to go a little bit off the board. Give me the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I can see that. They've been really good.
December have been awesome this year. They beat most notably Dallas. They beat the Oilers as well. So they have to be on this list too. 7-2-1 in their last 10. I'm putting the Knights at 2.
I like it. My number 3 is going to be a team that is scoring at an absolutely ridiculous pace right now and has finally started to get goaltending. Give me the Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh, all right.
Number 3.
Avalanche at number 3. The Avs are currently 6-4 in their last 10. Yeah, I can get behind that. I think the Avalanche, especially in the month of December, they have been awesome. They've only lost once. And now that they're finally getting actually competent goaltending, they're actually starting to play pretty well. So, yeah, I can get behind the Avalanche at 3. Number 4, though, it has to be probably the Minnesota Wild. Yeah. Just because they're first in the league. They've been great. They have to be here. 7-2-1 in their last 10. Kaprizov looks unreal. The month of December has been a little bit slower for them, though. They beat the Ducks. They beat the Canucks in overtime. They beat Utah in a shootout, but they lost to the Kings, who are higher than them. So I think that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 5, Kata.
Number 5, I'm going to go with the biggest surprise team in the NHL. Did end up losing to San Jose in a shootout. But that was at the start of the month. I think we're witnessing a new kind of team here. Give me the Washington Capitals at 5.
Yeah, Caps got to be here. 7-2-1 in their last 10. I'm going to be honest. The only reason why they're lower, and the only reason why there's a few other teams that are lower on this list, is just because they haven't played a lot of games. Vegas actually has played the same amount of games, so I guess I'm contradicting myself. But for Washington, they have such a huge gap in between all their games. It's weird. Like they had a back-to-back, and now they don't play till Thursday. So again, I thought that was interesting. Number 6. I think you got to go Winnipeg Jet. No, Florida Panthers here first.
Yep, I agree.
Panthers, 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. They've lost 1 game this month. I think Florida is fitting to be there at number 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you got for number 7?
I know you were going to say number 7 or number 6 was this team. So I should say that they're number 7. They are not. I have been completely decided to change my mind. They might have lost 8-1 last night, but I don't really care. This team was looking really good under Joe Sacco. Give me the Boston Bruins.
Whoa. Yeah, 7-3-0 in that 10-game stint they had with Sacco here so far this season. So
I get them completely contradicting what I said earlier, but I've kind of looked at...
Well, they're not going to hear that. They're not going to hear that.
That's fine. I'm going to say now, I said the Jets should be higher than the Bruins. I'm changing my mind now because if we take out the 8 goals that they scored against Boston, and let's say they won 2-1, they would be at a -4 goal differential. They have not been very good as of late. They got absolutely pounded at home by Columbus. They haven't looked very good since kind of October and midway through November. And even in the month of December, they're 3-3. So
yeah, so it's been a rough go of things there for the Jets so far.
But as I expected it to be.
Yeah. All right, number 8. I get the final pick here. The final team that I think should be in the top 10. There's a lot of good picks that you could go with. I think we have the teams that are expected, but I'm going to go with. Hang on. Give me. Oh man, this last spot's tough. There's a few teams you could go with. Give me the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow. Really?
At number 8. They are on a 3-game win streak. They have won 5 in a row at home after having a pretty lackluster road record. This team has finally gotten back on it. They are 7-3-0 in their last 10. I understand you may want to put, like maybe New Jersey or like Carolina or even Toronto on there, but I think Edmonton has just been all the much better, winning close games, winning blowouts. I think that they should be at number 8. Okay. Here's what we got for our power rankings for December 12th is when these will release. Los Angeles Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild, Washington Capitals, Florida Panthers, Boston Bruins, and Edmonton Oilers is our top 8. Carter, anything you want to change?
No, I honestly really like it.
All right. This is what we're rolling with. And yeah, after spending about 15 minutes, the episode would have been like a year long. Now it's not. But regardless, that'll conclude this episode of the NordCast. Carter, any final thoughts for us?
Let's go Ducks.
I knew you were going to go that. Go Ducks. Go Ducks. Yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the NordCast. Thank you guys for watching or listening. We'll be back next week. Maybe Jack will be there, maybe not. Jack, we're still thinking about that bet that you lost, and you have to pay for your price.
I haven't forgotten, Jack.
Yeah, he hasn't forgotten. All right. We love you, though, Jack. We love our fans. We love you guys. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to yet again another episode of the NordCast. If you enjoyed, please subscribe down below or follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to follow us on TikTok, we are at NordCast. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, follow at NordCast_. That'll do it for this episode. I'm Nordic. Thanks for listening from all the crew, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.